Guys, a very good afternoon to all our viewers on Moneycontrol. I'm Karunya Rao and as always I am here with Manisha Gupta. The big headline today is that agri-commodities have seen a phenomenal cool off. Tell us, what are these commodities that are witnessing some, calming down in the prices?
Karunya, if you remember the first week of March when we started with this Russia-Ukraine war, the market started to quickly study on what are the commodities Russia produces, how much they export, what are the commodities that are more important with Ukraine there, etc. And we saw a run up in these commodities. Yeah. In metals, it was all about nickel and aluminum and crude oil. And in agriculture commodities, sunflower has never been talked about so much.
Which we told our viewers about last week.
But Karunya, in your life, in your career, how many times have you talked about sunflower?
Yeah, so absolutely.
I think that is what the market started to look at. Sunflower, wheat, barley, rye, corn, market started to look at these, and you saw a lot of speculative money come into this. Hedge fund managers, everybody was putting money because they realized that there are going to be export distractions, there are going to be supply disruptions, the sanctions that we saw, and we saw a huge amount of gain into these commodities. Now from where we stand, we are looking at peace talks progressing well between Russia and Ukraine, and that has led to the overbought commodities come off a bit. The speculative money is actually taking profit off. So when you look at palm oil, you look at soybean, corn, sugar, wheat, all of these commodities have seen a decline anywhere between 4 to 8% in the past week, and they have turned negative in the last 1 month as well. So when you look at the last 1 month's chart, all of these commodities are now into negative, which were double-digit percentage on the higher side.
Yeah. So what does this mean for India? Because many of these commodities we import and many of them we also export. So what does it mean for us?
So as far as sunflower is concerned, we still are into the woods here. The imports are still slightly difficult. The ships are not coming so easy. So sunflower prices continue to trade in the positive right now. But when it comes to sugar, we are in a very good position. There is higher availability in Brazil and India this time around. And India could be looking at stronger exports, even without the subsidy that the government has been giving. But they may be curbed is what the conversation is right now. So that's about sugar. In case of wheat, yes, there are expectations that anywhere between 8 to 12 million tons of wheat is what India could be exporting. Cotton, we are very competitive into the markets yet again. Even as the prices have gained up by nearly 58% in the last 12 months, India is still looking good to export good amount of cotton.
So good news for sugar companies, textile manufacturers, etc.?
Yes, it is. It definitely is, because we are competitive, one. Two, we are looking at a good production too. And the third is that there are markets who are wanting our commodities. So yes, India stands in a very beneficiary position.
What about consumers? Because last week, I'm sure we scared many of them away when we said, there's going to be a price hike across the board, whether it's the grocery that you buy, your oils, your atta, everything else. So is there any update from a consumption point of view, from the cost point of view?
I think consumers still need to be scared. We're not looking at prices coming off anytime soon. So when you look at the edible oil prices, the point here is that you will see many of these commodity prices on an elevated level. It's not that India is in an oversupply mode right now. We have better production, but remember, we are exporting it. So it's not that we have a surplus lying here which will pull the prices down, and the international markets are in a jittery as well. So no, the prices are not coming off. India is beneficiary in sense of those companies who are holding these stocks there. So whether it's about wheat or soybean or textiles or rubber or many of these commodities, I think the prices will continue to remain elevated. The near-term froth has come off, but the uncertainties are still galore.
So is buying going to happen in commodities at these levels? Will there be a further pullback? What is the trend looking like?
It does look like that you will see buying on the lower levels. When it comes to agriculture commodities, you also look at seasonality, and you have Ramzan starting from next week. There would be strong demand from Middle East and various other countries for many of these commodities. This is festival time for them. And then as far as the Russia-Ukraine war goes, there are peace talks that have just about begun. The sanctions are not going to go away. And then mid of April, when IMD comes with that monsoon forecast, you would want to know on what happens with that as well. And for that, that's going to be the most important thing.
So, but several reports are saying that monsoons for now look normal and look okay. So, does that mean we don't have to worry about a deficit, irrespective of what's happening in Ukraine, Russia?
Karunya, when you talk about monsoon, the devil is in the details. What cities, what states are getting monsoon? How does it start? How much more? What is the kind of gap? Is the sowing done? And after that, how the rains are? It really is a day-to-day thing. So, monsoons as normal is a lot of detailing there. So yes, that is a big concern that
And it
Indian,
happens when it happens. One cannot be
yeah, and
100%
once you
sure.
sow and the monsoon is great and it doesn't rain anymore and what you have sown goes for a toss. So there are a lot of details onto that. And yes, markets do tell us that every time you see a bit of a decline in many of these commodities, these are buying opportunities. I mean, I would tell you about crude. We've seen prices come off from 140 to 105
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
But Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, everyone says that 120, 135 is still a possibility. So do not lie back and rest that the peak is done for the near term. You could be looking at those levels coming back into the new quarter that starts from April. So no, the froth is gone, the prices have come off, and that's a headline for sure because we were trading at dizzying levels. But are we not going to go there again? I think that is not
One
ruled
can't
out.
tell, yeah. And in the meantime, more bad news. I'm sure everybody knows out there by now. Every day we're witnessing a hike in fuel prices.
Oh yes, that's
So every other day, 80
that's
paise
going to
hike in
find its
diesel,
way into
80
these
paise
prices.
in petrol. But is that going to continue for another few days? The cycle of price hikes, constant price hikes in fuel?
Remember, we talked about this and we've seen 7 price hikes already, and there could be some more coming. So yes, you are looking at more of those coming in. We are still 7 to 8 rupees away from break even. So yeah, I think yeah, you are looking at that.
Oh God, I'm waiting for the day you give us some good news on prices.
All right, ouch.
But on that note, we're going to wrap up the chat. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This is all we have in Commodities Update for today.